Good morning. Welcome. Um, let's see. Yeah, yep. Andrew, last day of Giganta, actually. This is all that's left on these 2 pages. So we are going to finish her up. And since it probably won't take the full 2 hours, once we finish Giganta, we're going to finish this Trigon that I started on stream probably a year ago. And if we finish Trigon on stream, we'll find where he at. We'll then work on the Savannah that I started a year ago and did not complete. And if for some reason I finish Giganta, Trigon, and Savannah, we'll then go to, we'll try to finish the Grodd. I doubt I'll finish all 4 of these, just because there's still so much left of just the background stuff before we get to Grodd. But we'll get as much of it as we can on the stream. And this is going to be the last stream where I work on this book. There's still pages in here I'm going to use for like shorts. And I've got a couple more pencil test videos that I'm going to use this book for. And then after that, I'm going to, I put a vote up on the membership, on the post thing. The community tab, there we go, words are hard. I put up a post with a poll asking for people to vote, and people said Rainbow Bright. So we'll be working on Rainbow Bright pages on Sundays between other stuff. So it won't just be Rainbow Brights when I'm here by myself, but there will be, Rainbow Bright will be my let's do some Rainbow Bright. So just kind of like how this one has been. Whenever I don't have anything else that I'm really excited about, I have had this book to fall back on. I've been printing up Rainbow Bright pages to work on, so we will have some stuff ready to go. And good morning, James. Mint with card. Yeah, it must be done. The YouTube gods must be appeased. Welcome, Mint with card, channel member.
Bring out the alt! Bring out the alt! Bring out the alt!
And enough champagne to fill the Nile.
Oh, there we go. It doesn't feel like Sunday without that, you guys. Anyhow, all right, let's get started on Giganta here. And I am in the new chair, but so there won't be as much squeaking as normal. So yeah, it's exciting. Anyway, I'm going to do the explosion with yellow. And I'll do that after we'll finish, and with some red. So we'll do Giganta first, and then we'll get to the rebel and the explosion. So yeah. Start. I'm gonna put down sort of the base level for her skin first, because all the white is sort of bugging me out. But that will also help. And I'm also going to put on some background music in a second. Today is a day where the sound of my own thoughts while I'm talking to you guys is bugging me. So this is why I normally have something going in the background at all points. So let's do it. Oh yeah, we definitely are going to get to that during the course of this, because I not only have thoughts, but I'm also, yeah, no, I've got some thoughts. Good thoughts for a change. It's one of the few times I don't feel sort of negative about Todd. All right, how is the volume on that? I just need enough so that I hear it, so my brain will latch onto that rather than other things. If it's too loud, let me know, because I can go a little bit lower and still hear enough of it to have like some background noise. No, that's too loud for me. Sorry. If it's too loud for me, though, it's probably too loud for you. There we go. All right. So yeah, let's talk superpowers. We'll start right there. So whenever those sort of images first started floating around and everyone was guessing, I said it was going to be Supergirl, and then I called the Power Girl, and I called also that it was going to be sort of the right before Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Infinity Inc. Costume that she wore, because they had taken away her the cutout in her costume and just given her like a V-neck, or sometimes it was a round top, a round cut V-line neckline, I mean, and that was kind of that was her costume, and then it was her costume that way for a while. Post-Crisis, the only difference being her belt had the symbol of Orion, Orion, Lord of Atlantis, who they made her grandfather when they were trying to figure out who she was, if she wasn't Superman's cousin from Earth 2. So obviously there is no Star of Orion on the costume. That probably would have been a little bit too much as far as paint apps for Todd. But that's also minuscule. That's something where I could conceivably see buying like an extra one and then just, you know, using a paint pen to make the star myself, because I'm probably one of the only nerds who prefer Power Girl as an Atlantean and thought that origin made her a little bit more unique and more fun. And it's okay that other people don't like that. We don't all have to like the same thing. So I'm excited about those. The Green Lantern makes sense because there sort of seems to be the Supergirl is clearly sort of Matrix inspired from the Death of Superman era, which is cool. If you're going to give us sort of a Supergirl, a very sort of default looking Supergirl is perfect. Sort of the red skirt, you know, like that costume is sort of like just what most people think of when they think Supergirl. It's sort of the movie costume without the headband. Not that she had the headband in the movie, but at the same time, the headband was created originally for the movie and they changed it. So it's sort of the default Supergirl costume that most people probably think of when they think Supergirl. So I think that's a really good choice. I think it helps, you know, even the new movie that's coming out, her costume is very similar. You know, the belt's a little different and the boots are different, but otherwise it's very sort of quintessential Supergirl. So I think that was a good choice. I kind of like that we're getting a, you know, the Green Lantern from sort of that era, like right before Emerald. What was it? Emerald? It wasn't Emerald Knight, was it? Basically, where he goes insane and gets possessed by Parallax and destroys all of the Green Lantern Corps so that Kyle can take over. And then the Eradicator and the Cyborg Superman are both great choices. Again, sort of the Death of Superman era. And then an Earth 2 Robin, which also is really cool because that meshes well with the Earth 2 Power Girl that we're getting. So you know, like everyone knows I'm very much a Todd hater. I'm gonna say, like, if he had given us a wave like this a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think I would feel like much less of a Todd hater, because this is a pretty perfect assortment. Like, you know, and it's like the women figures that he's giving us are, yeah, they're major characters, but, you know, they also have, you know, Supergirl at least is going to have appeal outside of, you know, like us nerds who know the lore, who want all these characters. Like, it's definitely, you know, sort of a head scratcher that he didn't do Supergirl before this and at retail, because that's definitely, I think, a character that has some awareness that people would have, you know, like people who don't follow comic books still would have picked up. As always, you know, there are nitpicks I have and there's sort of critiques I have, but I think overall, like, it's a great assortment. And if the next couple of assortments through Entertainment Earth are sort of like this, I think, you know, like, write this down on your calendar. But I think if we get this level of sort of mix of characters that people want, plus really cool specific era stuff, I think Todd will end Superpowers on a high note for me. So mark it down that today I was not a complete 100% Todd hater, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for these last few waves of Superpowers, because I feel like he delivered here a really good mix of sort of the kind of characters you have to put in an assortment, you know, so people will sell, but also a couple really good quirky choices. So more of this, Todd. Prove me wrong. Yeah, exactly, right? Except for, you know, like, we got Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, and that's honestly one of my critiques of the vintage Superpowers line. Even when I was a kid, I was incredibly disappointed that there was no Cheetah. Like, that felt like a no-brainer. You know, I feel like, yeah, and since we're talking Superpower, you know, and we're doing DC, so what better time for me to ramble about Superpowers? But I always felt as a kid, you know, and Darkseid and sort of the Fourth World characters are really pretty big now. They've gotten enough, and Superpowers is part of that, right? But when a lot of those characters were hitting, like, your average toy buying kid didn't have any clue who those characters were. They sort of built them up as part of Superpowers. So as a kid, I was incredibly disappointed that Wave 2 was like all Fourth World villains, and we weren't getting the Cheetah or Giganta or Sinestro, or, like, I remember being very disappointed in the super villain choices for Wave 2. I think if they'd given us, like, say, just Darkseid and just Callie back, or, you know, like, one or two of them, that would have been fine. But just to have the villains completely taken over by Darkseid in the Fourth World, for me, just sort of killed it. And I know part of that was they got Jack Kirby to redesign some of those to make them more toyetic, and therefore he made pretty good money off of those characters. Like, I definitely get that side of it. But I think if they had, I think Superpowers would have lasted a lot longer if Wave 2 had had a better mix of villains, and we'd gotten, like, gotten Sinestro and the Cheetah, and, you know, like, Captain Cold, or just, you know, characters that the kids knew from the Challenge of the Super Friends and the Legion of Doom. You know, you could give us the Riddler and Scarecrow, because they were both in that cartoon. Like, we knew those characters. You know, Bizarro would have been perfect. So, you know, like, the first 12 figures that Kenner did for superpowers. Perfect. No, like perfect selection of heroes and villains. Perfect DC line for year 1. And then year 2 is when it just started spiraling. And year 3 was an even bigger mess. In my opinion, there wasn't really a cohesive, and there were way too many Kenner created characters. So that is one thing I will give Todd that I think excels from vintage Kenner on superpowers, is Todd never created characters to put in the line. So there's that. So yeah, I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised that so many of the fan predictions were correct. I was really happy that my Power Girl choice was exactly the one that they went with. She's very 1985 to 87 coded, so perfect for that toy line. Yeah, so I'm very happy with it. Like, again, I'm not ready to give Todd, what is it the kids say? I'm not ready to give him his flowers or anything. But I did find the number for a florist just in case. So if you can end on a high note and keep this energy going with these next couple of waves for superpowers, I think myself and a lot of people who have been very displeased with Todd will have a completely different, it'll end differently. Like, I'm never going to sort of be not question sort of why it took this long to get, so, like core characters, or why there were so many weird deep dives that he did. But I definitely am going to have a better overall, and at this point, if you were to give us a really specific Batman, if you were to give us Nightfall Batman themed for the next one with like an Azrael and Batman in that ridiculous Nightfall like armored costume, and like a Tim Drake in this specific Tim Drake Robin costume, and like Huntress, and like I would even feel at this point less angsty if you like gave us some Batman figures as part of it all. So hopefully. Yeah, I think the face sculpts are pretty good too. Like, Supergirl is especially pretty. The Power Girl, like, I don't know if it was the angle or the paint app, but it looked a little bit more plain than Power Girl. But that's so minor. Like, so minor that the paint app is not pristine, especially because I feel like this Supergirl paint app for the face is perfect. It looks exactly like what a 1985 to 87 Superpowers Supergirl paint app would have looked like. So yeah, I'm super hopeful that he keeps this energy and the rest of the figures are this nice sort of blend of storyline specific plus sort of the stuff the fans want to see. And so, fingers crossed. But I saw this yesterday and was not at all sad about it. Like, I didn't have any sort of why didn't he, and I know there were some people who were like kind of questioning the Robin or maybe the Green Lantern, but those made perfect sense. There's again that sort of death of Superman sub theme going through it, and then it's that Robin matches the Justice Society Power / Infinity Inc. Power Girl figure that we're getting. So he's even sort of building out the Justice Society with this assortment. And so, good job, Todd. It's nice to see him sort of get it right for a change, I guess. Not that he at all cares and anything at all what, I say, but still. You did good, Todd. And I'm definitely going to get the Supergirl and the Power Girl. And I want the Robin for sure, because I do like the sort of Justice Society older Robin in that costume. I just haven't decided on the other three, so. But yeah, definitely I'm in for the Supergirl and the Power Girl. And probably the Robin. It's also going to depend on price. Like, if they keep the price sort of in the same range that Superpowers has been, like, say, you know, less than $15 each, then it's a really easy decision to get them all. And that's another thing I will give Todd for the Superpowers line, is that price-wise, it's always been very friendly. And I will, you know, like, I'm still getting my collection room together, but everything I haven't opened from, like, the last couple of years, I've been getting it all sort of together so that when I do open it, you know, it can go into displays. And I have way more Superpower stuff than I realize. I've got Brainiac Ship, I've got the Invisible Jet, I've got Blue Beetle's Bug, and I've got the Mr. Terrific vehicle from the Superman movie. And plus I got the Mr. Terrific and the Ultraman from the Superman movie line, because I thought those were pretty cool. I'm also trying, you know, like, I know some people got the not Hal Jordan, the Guy Gardner from the movie and the Metamorpho, but I also already have those from the regular Superpower line. And I don't quite care for I didn't like the movie costumes for either of those two characters, so I skipped those. I feel like the Superpowers Metamorpho is kind of like quintessential what I picture when I picture Metamorpho. Because I'm definitely, other than say like maybe Wonder Woman or Supergirl, like if he does some of the costume variants, I would definitely be down to pick up some of those. But for most characters, I don't. I need like one sort of quintessential, sort of iconic costume for them. I'm at the place with the space that I have that I don't need, you know, like a gazillion versions of the character. Unless it's, you know, like someone I actually, you know, like I will buy every Princess Leia figure ever. Just because I've got, at this point, I've got like 3.5 Princess Leia shelves. So that's sort of my main character. If I stopped collecting everything else, I would still collect Princess Leia. So. And sort of with the Superpowers, like, I'm now like curious who the next wave is going to be. Again, believe it or not, I'm kind of hoping for like a Batman themed one that has like Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, some Nightfall stuff. Yeah, Deborah Domain for sure. Like, I've got like the Pocket Heroes from like the early 2000s. I found that yesterday when I was organizing some some DC stuff, and that's still mint in package. So I'll probably actually finally open those to display. Yeah, exactly. And hello, Alex, Black Phoenix. Welcome, and as a channel member, you know what that means. Let me find it. Here
Bring
we
out
go.
the
Welcome.
Bring out the Bring out the
And enough champagne to fill the Nile.
Thank you as always, Gal Gadot, for your acting prowess in that scene. Hello, Bootlegger Comics. Welcome. Thank you for popping in. So yeah, like, you know, like I'm hoping next wave we get some Batman stuff. I know, shocker. But you know, I'm hoping Nightfall specific and Batgirl, maybe a Catwoman. Even though like sort of my Batman Returns Catwoman figure, she's in scale with superpowers, so that kind of fits. But it would be cool if we got like a 80s version of Catwoman with her little purple dress and the whip and everything. I just kind of, you know, like from the get-go have been, I think my biggest disappointment, including the lack of women under Todd, has been that he didn't really sort of revisit the original plans Kenner had for the line. You know, and sort of get all the different factions, all the different characters that they originally planned on, and were included sort of in the pitch. I think if he had done that, a lot of the critiques has gotten about superpowers would have been severely decreased. You know, like superpowers for most of us is a nostalgia brand. And I just feel like all along he sort of missed the point of like why we really liked it and what we wanted it to be. I think at times he was really focused on its affordability, which I'm not going to complain about. Like, it's nice to be able to get nice solid DC figures for like $10 at retail. But I think he also missed the second part of it, where it's like, you know, for it to be a nostalgia brand, it's about more than just sort of the cost of it. I think most of us would have been happy to pay a little bit more for those figures if the character selection had hit the nostalgia vibe the way, you know, the way superpowers should. So, I don't know. I'm still hopeful for the next few waves based on the reveal. And I'm really hopeful that when Mattel fully takes over sort of the license for figures, that we still get, that they, even if they don't call it superpowers, we get something that looks like superpowers with sort of the retro vibe. And they've done pretty well with retro themed stuff. You know, with Masters of the Universe, the Origins line is really sort of good as far as retro lines go. So, and so far the Mattel stuff for their kids line that I've seen, I'm going to end up picking up a lot of that, especially based at that price point, because so far what they've shown looks pretty good. I'll even forgive them the Joker and Batman variants. And so, I don't know. It feels like a decent time to, you know, be a fan of DC figures. Todd's trying to end on a high note, and it looks like Mattel has some really good plans. I've picked up some of the Spin Master stuff over the years. And I can say I've always wanted to like it more than I do. It just, I don't know, it never has quite hit for me. I did get recently the Sonic Wonder Woman, and whoever the Sonic character is paired with her. I picked that up, and I actually like that figure quite a bit. And so, when they do the Starfire that they showed recently, I'm definitely going to pick her up. Because there just aren't a ton of good Starfire figures out there. So that'll be cool. It would be cool, Todd, if before you go, you gave us a Teen Titans themed wave with like Starfire and Wonder Girl and Raven. Give us Beast Boy and Kid Flash. All the faves. There. Oh yeah, this is, yeah, definitely not my pencils. I don't do pencil art anymore. Yep, no, this is DC's Supervillains, the official coloring book. So, yep. Yeah, no, the artist, I think this is one of the ones where, let's see. Yeah, Jose Carlos Silva is the illustrator for this book. He's done a bunch of the DC ones. I've got a Batman book that he also has done all the illustrations for, and it's in the same style, so it's pretty good. Yeah, I think now that he's doing soft goods, it would be cool if we got a few more. Yeah, Giganta in any scale would be great. If you're listening, Todd, any scale of Giganta would be super cool. Alright, and I just double checked her costume, and she has like gray, like a gray layer under this stripe here, so. So I'm going to use the black really lightly. I'm also hoping that, for instance, we get a Batman-themed wave. Again, I can't believe I'm saying that of Todd, but I'm hoping for a Batman-themed wave with sort of like Nightfall and some of the Bat family characters he's not done yet. I also kind of hope, when I saw the sort of death and return of Superman sort of theme happening in this wave of superpowers, I am feeling sort of hopeful that we'll get, that he'll do sort of a couple, you know, he'll do Nightfall. It would be really cool if he did the Challenge of Artemis storyline from Wonder Woman, where we, even if he gives us Wonder Woman in that biker, sort of her biker girl outfit that she had for a while there, and we got like Artemis as Wonder Woman. And that would be a place where he could give us a couple, he'd have a couple different options for Cheetah. And he could do sort of the Barbara Minerva, or he could slip a Debbie Domain in there. But also Giganta and like Ares, and there are a couple characters he could do in there, and a lot of those he could reuse tooling for. So kind of my hope that what we see is sort of a, you know, sort of theme for the waves that gives him the opportunity to give us a bunch of different characters that we don't have yet. I also feel like him doing it through Entertainment Earth helps, because you can get a little bit more obscure when it's a fan demand retailer rather than, you know, having to deal with regular retail. I mean, I'm sure a portion of it is, you know, places like Walmart and Target, like, we need lots of Batman. Give us the Batman. Because all of my local Walmart and Targets, all they ever seem to have is like Batman and Superman and the Joker. Even when like the pegs are full, there'll be a lot of those characters, and then when I'll come back, like everything's gone, and it'll be maybe a Batman and a Joker left. So the kids are, you know, are people buying for kids or buying those characters in bulk. So it kind of makes sense. And I guess, you know, retail is wanting to stock what's going to sell. As much as we wish it were so, like, I can't imagine there are going to be a bunch of 6 to 8 year olds who are like, I want to Chiva. There are a few, but like in mass, you're not going to get. So I understand, like, you know, there needs to be a Batman in this retail to want to pick them up, but that doesn't mean we can't get creative with the rest of the assortment. I mean, even Kenner did that with the Batman lines. You get like, well, like Golden Shower, Batman, and Water Jets, and Arctic Blast. Like, there were a lot of Batman variants that my brother had, where I was kind of like, wow, this wasn't in the comics. And I'll tell you, my brother did not care. He just wanted to play with Batman, so. Yeah, I want Black Orchid as well. I want the original version from like the 70s. That's my favorite Black Orchid. Hawk Girl also. Hawk Girl, Hawk Woman, Hawk Girl, like Hawk Woman. Like there's so many different cool variations of both Hawk Girl and Hawk Woman that like it would really be cool. Yep, even that one. I'm not gonna say that one on screen. Hello, Rhea. Ray. I hope you're having a great day. Lovely to see you. And good morning, Leia Glacia. Lovely to see you today as well. We're just talking superheroes. And Todd McFarlane. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I was super happy to see the choices, and I'm hopeful. And if he goes out on a high note, that's worth it, I guess. Like, just a little bit more pink in here. I think Firehawk would be really good. Nubia for sure. It's like, say, a Wonder Woman themed assortment. Nubia would be really easy to sort of put in there, and like she's had a couple different costumes over the years that it would be easy for him to do some reuse with. So it would be cool to see her. I like it, but it also seems weird that I mean, also though, I do understand he's trying to get figures out before the license ends. So I also get why there are two Wonder Woman, the good version and the evil version in the same line. Like, I get that. I do feel like it was an odd choice to do the evil version. Like, if he needs to do the reuse, it would have been really easy to do her blonde and have it be Priscilla Rich the cheetah from that episode where she takes Wonder Woman's place and becomes Wonder Woman. Because you could 100% use that same head and just do a blonde with cheetah look. And so that it's really a completely different character. So I thought that was weird that he just straight up did the evil Wonder Woman, but I also don't know how many assortments he has left before he loses the license. So it may 100% just be, it's like he's gotta sort of crank them out, because it felt like it was a slightly bigger assortment than what he usually does for superpowers. Could be wrong, but it felt like it was 2 figures more than what he normally does in an assortment. And again, if I'm wrong, my apologies. It was more of the feeling that it felt like a bit more than possible facts. So, but I think it would have been cooler if he had done the cheetah as Wonder Woman. And again, it's still the same reuse. But Todd's gonna Todd. So, otherwise though, I felt like it was a pretty decent. Yeah, and even that's more of a just a quibble. Like, I think overall it's a good assortment. And I know there are a few people who were questioning why Black Vulcan has pants. But some of the early animation, he actually had pants. Eventually he's just bare-legged. But there are some of the stills and some of the episodes where he had, and I don't know if it was just an animation mistake, because Hanna-Barbera did do those from time to time. But there is a precedence for him having covered legs. And it's also a render. We don't know if the actual figures will have the painted legs or not. And so, with so many of the studios using AI for their renders now, it's really hard sometimes to know what the actual figure is going to look like, or if it's just a render issue because they used ChatGPT or whatever. Yep, Power Girl looks really good. Yeah, these go on sale this Tuesday, so it's going to be an expensive Tuesday because they're also dropping. Mattel is also dropping the Expandor figure, so it's like I'm going to go buy that. And I guess I'm going to have to go to Entertainment Earth and get some superpowers. I think the superpowers has a bigger chance of selling out though, so have to do that one first. And then go to Mattel Creations. Also looks like Mattel Creations has the Shirella figure on sale for $10. So I might pick up a couple extra Shirellas for custom. I've been wanting to do a Masters of the Universe Origins Donna Troy for a while. And if I repainted Shirella's hair black, it would work pretty well as a Wonder Girl. So, not that I know when I'm going to get to customs. There's still so much unpacking to do and setup, but it's on the horizon. Like by next year, I feel like I'll be able to start getting customs back into my life. And it will also help decrease space because I have all these carded figures that I specifically picked up for customs that are just taking up space. And they take up way less space when you customize them because they come out of the package at that point. All right. Very nice. Yeah, we definitely will get this Giganta finished. All right, now the question becomes, what color are Giganta's eyes? My guess is they're green or blue. Let's see, that's pre-Final Crisis. That looks like green. Let's see. Green. It looks like green. So let's do it. It's like every supervillain has like green or blue eyes. I am wanting to, and I have been looking at it today. I also was looking at the Cobra Commander Shredder and the Destro Krang. But I definitely want the April O'Neil. I feel kind of annoyed that it's packaged with the vehicle. But I definitely want the April. So I figure I will probably pick, get that, and then I will probably, I've got a friend who I often hooks me up with figures and stuff that will probably want the, who will probably want the vehicle, so I think I'm going to just go ahead and get it and then gift the vehicle to him for all the times he has hooked me up with figures and not just like, hey, I have got this extra thing here, have it, take it off my hands. So I mean, it's I think $45 for the vehicle and a figure, which is pretty good. I have spent $45 on a single figure that doesn't look as good as that April does. And like I said, he's hooked me up with a lot of stuff over the years. It'd be fun to, sort of hook him up with something, because I know he isn't really buying a lot of stuff right now. He's like refinancing his house, and he's got some medical bills he's trying to deal with. So it would be nice to be able to sort of pay it forward for a change. A little bit more dark brown right in there. All right, there we go. Yeah. It's also interesting to me how many sort of cartoon characters and comic characters have red hair. As somebody who has red hair, like, we're way more represented in media than we are in reality sometimes. course, we're often villains, so there is that, but still. I mean, case in point. And Poison Ivy as well. Everyone, all the villains have blue and green eyes, or like red hair. Or they're blonde. There aren't as many brunettes anymore. Oh, nice. Excuse me, that was a little bit of a cough. For this, it would be either Wonder Woman or the second Dove, Dawn Granger. Dove was my favorite hero for a while. I liked how she was more, like how she was sort of all about like thinking things out, and like her mind was always ahead of her body. Like I really liked that. But also Donna Troy. I mean, Donna Troy was as far more at times relatable than Wonder Woman to me growing up. I don't know enough about Lady Lovely Locks to have a favorite character. It hit right after I stopped doing toys, so I remember it. I've got a coloring book somewhere, but I haven't. And the origins really messed up, but I haven't really dug down deep enough into it yet to have a favorite character at some point. When I've researched it a little bit more and know a little bit more, there will be at least some Lady Lovely Lock shorts. Jason Momoa. He's gonna be Lobo now. That's kind of. I mean, I know that like stuff like that happens, but like it's weird to me, like that he was just Aquaman and now he's gonna be Lobo. I liked those movies. I mean, like, the first one was really good. The second one was kind of a mess, but, like, I still had more fun with the Aquaman movies than... For me, that was my favorite thing about that version of the DCU, was the first Wonder Woman. I liked both of the Suicide Squad movies. I thought they were fun. The first one wasn't the best movie in the world, but it was still fun. And then the two Aquaman movies were fun. So I was overall though, I'm not one of the Snyderverse fans. I don't like Superman to be dark and like grimy. Like Superman needs to be bright and cheerful. So I'm a much bigger fan of the newer Superman. Even though Henry Cavill is super hot or whatever, like I didn't like sort of the dark and broodingness of it all. That's just not what I think of when I think of Superman. I mean, the hot part, yeah. Superman should be attractive. Christopher Reeves was super hot. I don't know if the kids remember this, but he was kind of a Baldwin. Oh wait, we can't really say that anymore because the Baldwins are kind of a hot mess now. Never mind. Parts of 90s culture that did not age well. The Baldwins, in many ways. I don't know, Billy Baldwin's still okay. So, I stand by my crush for Billy Baldwin. Alright, here we go. Butter. Add some red in there. Alright, let's finish Giganta's hair. I think both of those are really good choices. I think Miss Martian would be fun because she's got a really great power set. Alright, sorry about that. I just had another coughing thing. So I just took my cough suppressant. So hopefully that will minimize it. And I will say the bouncing back from bronchitis has not happened as quickly or as nicely as I would have wished. So note to self, don't do that again next year. Alright. Anyway. Yeah, no, I think Miss Martian would be fun. She's also one of my favorite sort of newer DC. I mean, technically, I think at this point she's almost 20 years old. But being that I'm super old, and I remember when she debuted, like, she's still new to me. But she's one of my favorite newer. I should think she was one of the best characters sort of to appear post Infinite Crisis during the it was like the 1 year later storyline where they skipped ahead and they had like the 52, the weekly comic. But I liked her a lot. I've always thought she was a good character. I liked her in the Young Justice cartoon. And so one of the cooler new creations. It's also cool that she's tied to Martian Manhunter. I've always felt like John Jones doesn't get enough accolades. And a lot of people don't remember that during the Silver Age, he had a brother who was kind of like his teen sidekick briefly. But then when they sort of, at one point when they decided that he was the only survivor of the Green Martians, his brother conveniently disappeared. Oh, the Silver Age. But that's something I've always thought. Like, it was weird they didn't bring back his brother. You know, and there's so many different ways you could do that. But I liked Miss Martian. I like Miss Martian because she's still around. She would be fun to get in superpowers. Maybe we'll get sort of like a Titans wave that covers a bunch of characters other than the new the Wolfman Perez era Titans. I always thought it was strange they didn't include her more in the in Mattel's superhero girls toy line. She sort of felt like to me like a no-brainer to include as an action figure. And like several of those characters, they didn't have to like de-age her and make her a teenager. Excuse me, to make her work. All right, here we go. Now we'll let that dry. I know I honestly never quite jived with the Teen Titans. It was a little too, but also I was almost 30 when that show started. And my Titans, you know, I grew up with the Wolfman and Perez Titans. Said that it was such a kid show, which is fine for the kids. But for me, it was just not quite. I liked Young Justice because I felt like it was sort of somewhere in between the two places. Like, you know, like kids could watch it, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't sort of for kids. It was like more of a like tween show, I guess, that adults and kids could enjoy. So, but also that's just, I mean, I have all of the seasons of Teen Titans. I enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't my favorite though. But again, like, it wasn't necessarily for me. Like, it was made for the kids of the time. And I'm assuming that's probably your age range, Flea Glacia. So, obviously, like, it was exactly what should have been being made at the time for kids. So, you know, I've never been, you know, and I see it a lot in fan circles where, like, something will be made that's clearly, like, to entice a new audience into a property, and people get really mad because it's like, that's not our thing. But stuff has to evolve. Like, I'm sure, like, in 1959 or whatever, when DC Comics introduced the new Flash, and there were people who were like, that's not the real Flash. The real Flash is Jay Garrick. But for a lot of people, Barry Allen was their Flash. I liked Barry Allen, but I really got into comics beyond just sort of like Wonder Woman and Supergirl comics. I got into it around Crisis. So for me, like, Wally West was my Flash, you know, because I've been reading about him in the Teen Titans, and then he became, you know, like, Barry Allen died in Crisis, and then he took over. So for me, Wally West is like my Flash. I was sort of annoyed when they brought him back from the dead, and then, you know, Wally has sort of not quite, you know, fit in since, like, because for like 20 years or so, that was like the Flash. So, but yeah, no, like, also for me, the Teen Titans, I was always annoyed that Wonder Girl wasn't there, because for me, the Titans, you know, like, Wonder Girl is sort of required for the Titans for me. And, you know, there have been a lot of versions that haven't included, you know, either Donna Troy or Cassie, but for me, like, the Titans should be some form of Robin or Dick Grayson, Donna Troy or a Wonder Girl, and then, like, a Flash-like character, and even, like, Wolfman Perez, sort of, you know. Wally West left. And then Jericho joined. So that was kind of, you know, like, that even breaks my own sort of expectation. But they brought Wally back enough that even though he wasn't there every month, he was still a part of it. Even after he became the Flash, he would pop in from time to time. Oh, we are almost done. Alright, there's that. Alright, that is done. All right, and she is done. Thank you. Thank you. All right, just give it a few seconds for the paint to dry over here. Or actually, also do this. That way it doesn't ruin the site with Starro. All right. Okay. All right, let's finish up Trigon. And first, we're going to finish sort of the background, the crazy interdimensional energy. Which is what will take the most, because I just have this hand left. We got pretty far on this one, but it was also a day where I finished up a page here on stream and then started this and got pretty far. But not far enough to finish. And also, instead of finishing it on the next stream with this book, I wanted to start a new page. So that happens. Well, welcome, Wesley Jordan. Nice to meet you as well. Well, congratulations on turning 26. That was a good year. I liked 26. And happy Memorial Day to you. And if you are fashion-minded, just remember, spring is here and summer is here. It's okay to wear your white shoes. But remember, come Labor Day, you can't wear white shoes after Labor Day. So get your white pumps out. Well, I don't think most of you probably wear pumps, but if you do, I mean, Andrew does, obviously, but for the rest of us, all right. And this should all be black. So, oh, black is already over here. Well, not all of it, but this little part right here, based on this. And it's the one bad thing about when I start a page on stream, I don't make notes like I do when it's something I'm filming if I need to stop. So then I forget what I was doing, which pens or which colors I was using. So. Sometimes you have to just try to recreate it. All right. All right, we just need to do his hands now. I think I used Black Widows on this page, but we're just going to finish this hand in Prismacolor. So the red may be a little off, but it's fine. It's a little too off, though. Let's see. There we go. This one should work. There we go. That's better. There's this one. Right, Trigon is done, so that's 2 that we finished today. All right, let's see, and we got 30 minutes left, so definitely I feel like let's Let's find Savannah. It should be drying by now. Here we are. All right. Probably won't finish him today, but I'll get a ways. And I'll just save him for a general WIP. You do those every so often. I just whatever. I make a stack of everything that's half finished and then work on them. I'll be doing one of those probably. Let's see. It's May. Yeah, it's May. Duh. Memorial Day. So I should have one of those either in June or the end of July. Don't know that I'll bring anything from this book back for that episode because I have a lot of other WIPs that are sort of older. But at some point, on one of the WIP episodes, I will probably finish this in the Grod. I actually want to try to finish all of the pages in this book. So, but a lot of these will make good, you know, like sort of the cheetah and Catwoman, I think will make really nice shorts. So, probably make some shorts, maybe some longer color videos. There's a really nice Crime Syndicate page in here that's a 2-page spread that I could probably do for a Friday video. I think will be fun. Same with, there's a Fearsome 5 in here. No, Fatal 5. The one's from the Legion of Superheroes. And so. Now, when I got this book, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. But there's some great pages in here of some cool villains. And I've got like 3 more pencil test videos to work on that I'm going to use pages from this book for. And so. Oh. You know, we discussed that on the episode where I worked on him, and I did not color him as if he were. So there was a little devil taint in that particular page. Yep. It may be that it was intended to be cloth under there, but I colored the devil taint, so yeah. Hello, Geek. Welcome, Paul. Lovely to see you today. Well, hello. Greetings to Tasmania. Welcome. Lovely to see you. They do have the Secret 6. No, wait, Suicide Squad. Yeah, they don't have the Secret 6 in here, unfortunately. At the time they did this book, it was current teams. The closest we get is the Suicide Squad. Some of these characters later end up in Secret 6, like Killer Shark, or Great Shark. What is his name? Why am I spaced? Anyway, and like Captain Boomerang at one point was the Secret 6 member. So, but this is Suicide Squad, so close-ish. Yeah, this was done, let me double check the date really quick. 2023, so it was between Secret 6 books. And one of the things I did notice about the villains in here, there are obviously a few that are like sort of evergreen villains, but a lot of them are also ones that were active in sort of DC Comics at the time they did the book. And Secret Six is one of those odd books where it's like it comes and it's really good, and then it ends again. I feel like in a lot of ways, Secret Six was like when Gail Simone is not writing it. It to me is not as good. Like I feel like she gets this. Like her Catman is my favorite Catman. I feel like anytime other people write him, they don't quite get him right. But I know she's mostly working at Marvel now, which, you know, I think she's doing X-Men now, so I love that for her because it's such a big, you know, it's like writing one of the top comic books of all time. So yeah, her run on Wonder Woman is still one of my favorites. I didn't necessarily agree with all of her choices, but I at least understood the choices she was making. And like felt like we got some good Wonder Woman superhero stories during that time. And then of course Final Crisis and Blackest Night kind of came around, and then Flashpoint, and sort of everything went to hell after that with the New 52, which is too bad. But, nope, sadly no Secret Six. Because Ragdoll would be really cool. I think I have some. If I remember right, I should look for it, Andrew. I feel like somewhere I have some black and white line art, because they used to, with solicitations, they would send out black and white covers that were just, you know, before like the colorists had gone in and added all the colors. And I feel like I have a couple classic mid to late to early 2000s Secret Six in the file of stuff that I got without, that was black and white line art because the colorist version wasn't finished yet. If so, I will do some test printing and make sure that they print nicely enough. Some of that stuff is so old that the JPEGs have started to sort of, it sounds weird to say, but a lot of my older JPEGs from the late 90s to early 2000s have started showing some, I don't want to call it wear and tear, but like they've started to sort of become pixelated. It's really odd. I don't know if it's just because like that was 17 computers ago, and each time something gets copied on to a new computer, it's not like the original file, it's a copy of the file. I'm not tech savvy enough to understand the ins and outs, but a lot of my late 90s, early to mid 2000s JPEG stuff is really not great. It's like breaking apart like it's made on VHS or something. But I will check and see if I have any of that, and I'll throw it into the file. And one of the times where you join me on a Sunday, we'll color Secret Six if I can find some Secret Six. I also can try to make some. Sometimes with, depending on how flat the colors are, I can go and like Photoshop it and do some tricks to turn it into a black and white color. I did that with I did that Cersei short from the cover, the Brian Boland cover, where it's like Cersei using her powers to sort of burn Wonder Woman alive. Like I just took a color version of that and spent a couple hours sort of removing most of the color from it until it was colorable. It takes a long time to do that and do it right so that it will print nicely, but I'll see what I can do. That'll be my way of saying sorry that we've brought out the olive so many times in your presence. But next time you come, we've already got some stuff picked out. So you guys, Andrew will be here next month. I think that's next. Yeah, that's next month. And either way, regardless of what he picks, we've got some fun. It'll be fun. So, I mean, it's never not fun when Andrew is here with me. But his choices for his next visit, I thought, were particularly inspired. I'm trying to think who else is here next month. Cole, Dad at Arms, will be here next month. He'll be like my first guest after the Masters of the Universe movie comes out. So we definitely will talk Masters of the Universe. And since he got to go to the premiere and meet people, he will be full of fun Hollywood stories. That's Johnny from Geek the F Out will be here next month. We're also going to color Masters of the Universe. And then Cobweb Collector will be doing a special Friday stream next month with Masters of the Universe. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a movie coming out in a couple weeks for Masters of the Universe. I don't know if you've seen that or heard about it. But just like I did a bunch of Star Wars stuff this month, there will be quite a bit of He-Man stuff. Motu next month. Just to celebrate, because it's really, in my opinion, really cool that we're finally getting a new Motu movie. And from everything I have heard, it's much closer in tone to the cartoon in the original toy line. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, she's really good with Catman. Yeah, like, I've heard that from some people and then some people who like it. I'm not a huge X-Man. I like Dark Phoenix was, you know, like as a child I read it, I was traumatized by them killing Phoenix at the end of it. I know they've brought her back. I didn't know in 1980 when I was like 5 or 6 that they were going to bring her back. I still hold a grudge. I know at one point Gail Simone had at least proposed a Catman miniseries that was going to happen and then events killed it. So. Right. Hello, Nolan. Oh, wait, I missed it. Hello, Nolan. Lovely to see you. Thank you for being here. I know, right? I know, right? That, if you want to see somebody get really mad, you do that, and like sometimes they will lose their mind. It's a great way to do certain things, like, oh my god, you mean... I don't use Facebook a lot anymore, but back when I would really use Facebook, sometimes I would just go and I would post something like, oh my god, Brett Favre is like the best basketball player ever. And just sit back and wait. And just wait for the goodness to happen. And then just sort of double down and be like, no, I'm pretty sure he plays basketball. You can do that as I don't use Facebook anymore. And it's like, you know, that's sort of the place to do it because you're mostly among friends on Facebook or people you know. And so, because if you do that on like Twitter or Threads or whatever, you don't know all those people and they don't understand. But sometimes you want to just troll people. Yeah, sometimes you've got to troll. America. Need to give that black paint a few moments to dry. And we're almost out of time. So definitely we're not going to finish Savannah today, but I bet I can get most of the railing that he is leaning against there. I'll finish that up, and he'll be pretty far along. And I will save him for a future WIP video. And also, speaking of people who I need to have back, Paul Galliano, Palagi. And we also need to line up so we can get you on an episode of Retro Cavalcade. Because that hasn't quite lined up yet, so we'll figure it out. We need to look at all of that tomorrow, I think. Yeah, I think. And I'm off of my day job tomorrow, so I will have time, some bandwidth to look into that stuff. It's been a very busy month. Like in my like non-YouTube YouTube stuff has been pretty hopping this month, but my day job and my real life have also been pretty hectic. So but a lot of that is sort of wrapping up now, so it'd be nice to have. I crashed yesterday. We did our big twice a month grocery shop yesterday, and like went and did all the stuff that all the errands you have to do on grocery day, which in this economy means going to like 3 different grocery stores and Dollar Tree to sort of get the best prices on everything. And we got home and like unpacked everything, and I had lunch and sat down in my new chair, my super comfy chair, and promptly fell asleep till like 8 o'clock last night. And got up and I'm like, I need to eat some dinner. And got up and ate some dinner. And then sat down on the couch for a few minutes to play with kittens and let dinner settle. And I was going to come back out to the office here and jump on Clubhouse. And the next thing I know, it was like 11 o'clock last night because I fell asleep on the couch. Kittens did not complain. I woke up covered in kittens. And since they're all over a year old now, they're not tiny anymore. So, yeah, 2 on my lap, 1 cuddled right next to my face, and the other was above my head. And they were all just happy and purry. So, once you're swarmed by cats and being love bombed, it's really hard to escape. Which is a bummer, because I specifically kind of busted my butt last week on filming stuff so that I could spend last night and jump on Clubhouse and then fall asleep. I would have worked a lot less hard throughout the week if I had realized I would just pass out on the couch. But there you go. we are. Let's see. Well, we've got 8 minutes. I can at least finish this railing. Yeah, like, exactly. Like, and that's the thing. Like, this month, if I remember correctly, I proposed a topic, and then Todd does the drop, so we'll chat in a bit about that in the cavalcade quorum. Because I think we can do both, where it's like we sort of touch on the Todd of it all, but also do the fun non-Todd topic. There's more to life than Todd. It feels like, I don't know if you guys, there was a movie in the 90s called Dick that was set in the 70s, and it was about Richard Nixon and these 2 teen girls who befriend him. They become the official dog walkers. And there's a point where they're in the middle of like sort of the area around the Washington Monument, and it's really loud, and there's a marching band, and they're sort of screaming about stuff, and the band plays and they're still screaming, and like, but one of them's like, "I love Dick," and everyone giggles, and that's how I feel about Todd at times. It's like there's another part where it does the same thing, where it gets really quiet right as she says, "You can't let Dick run your life," and that's at times how I feel about Todd McFarlane. Now that I sort of, like, am sort of in the toy tube domain, like, it feels like at times, like, you can't let Todd run your life. But until the license is no longer his, to a degree, as long as you love DC and DC figures. And yes, I'm also doing the fake Todd Brooklyn accent there. My apologies to people with fake Brooklyn accents for how bad that was. Todd with your fake ass accent. Yes, that was a really. It was one of my favorite movies of the 90s. Like, if you've ever wondered what Allison's, I went and saw. I went and saw Dick at the theater. I went to a movie theater and to see Dick. And then I was still working at Blockbuster at the time, so whenever we moved all of our tapes to, like, because you get like 30 copies at Blockbuster of most stuff, 30 to 80. And then when you've made all the rental money off of them, you then, don't need, and you also don't need, 60 copies of Dick or whatever. So then you like sell them as previewed videos. So I bought a previewed video of it. I think though I have, whenever DVDs first hit, and they would make all those DVDs that were like $5 to $10. Pretty sure I bought it. Should go look at my DVD collection. If not, I should see if there's been like a fancy version made by some boutique DVD company that has bonus features. Yeah, it's one of my favorite 90s movies. Like that and Drop Dead Gorgeous, with also with Kristen Dunst. She had a couple pretty good movies there in the 90s that were very much my sense of humor. Drop Dead Gorgeous, though, is really good. Again, but very much parody. But definitely, if you ever wonder what is Allison's sense of humor really like, Dick and Drop Dead Gorgeous. especially in the 90s. Alright, that was a lot of work on railing, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, it's 3 minutes till. That's where we're going to end it. So it did not finish, but we got a lot farther along on him. Just got the mad science behind him and some lightning from it and the wires. And because this was the main star of the last couple of streams for this book, we'll end there. Alright. Alright, let's see what's coming up. I've got videos. I've always got videos. Alright, let's see. This week. Alright, so tomorrow there is my final Monday's Star Wars video for the month. And it is a completion video. I finished the 1997 Star Wars Galactic Adventures coloring book, all of the pages I made from that book, which was all of the art from it. So the final video, which features a flip through of all the completed pages plus the last page, that drops tomorrow. There are 3 shorts. There is a Sailor Jupiter short next week, and then 2 Jim Henson's Labyrinth. I've got 2 shorts from Labyrinth next week. Next Friday is Color and Chill She-Ra, Entering the Fright Zone. Saturday is part 3 of the Return to Oz videos. And either Wednesday or Thursday I'll be dropping my final Star Wars video for the month. And it is an adaptation of, in 1997 they released an Ewok coloring book which had a comic to color. So it will be that, and I got a full voice cast. So there'll be a dramatic reading of the comic, and I have Brick Something, Ostradamus Toys, Derek J. Hoover of the Yesterday's Podcast and Retro Cavalcade, and then I've got Rowdy Riles, who agreed to be my Leia for it. So I've got a pretty fun cast. So that'll drop either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm still working on editing and getting all the completed pages scanned. So Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how much I get done tomorrow evening. So with that said, I'm gonna wrap it up for today. She's pretty good. I just saw her recently in an interview, and she is not only aging naturally, but she also was throwing shade at everybody who's cutting themselves up to look fake 21. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, because you should do whatever you want with your own face. But if you're doing whatever you want with your own face because you want to look 21 so that you can still work in Hollywood, I don't know if that counts as doing whatever you want with your face. It's a discussion for another time. Anyway, with all of that said, thank you for hanging out with me today. I will see you again in the next one. And as always, I'm going to leave you with the most pressing question. Thank you. And thanks to all of my olives. I appreciate you muchly.
I haven't made up my mind yet. Incidentally, which one of you bitches is my mother?